The Female Mind Decoded. Nietzsche versus Schopenhauer. Had opposite views. One was right. What if everything you think you know about women is based on a lie that's been told for over 150 years? What if two of history's most brilliant philosophers figured out the female mind completely, but had opposite conclusions, and only one of them was right? I'm about to reveal which philosopher understood women's true nature, and which one created the biggest misconception about females that's still destroying men's lives today. If you've ever been confused by a woman's behavior, hit that like button right now. Comment "Decoded" if you're ready to learn the truth that most men will never understand. This isn't just philosophy. This is the key to unlocking every woman's deepest psychological patterns. First hook: the philosophical battle picture. This 19th century Germany. Two intellectual giants are developing completely opposite theories about women that will shape human understanding for the next 2 centuries. Arthur Schopenhauer, the pessimist, who believed women were fundamentally inferior, driven purely by biological impulses, incapable of true reasoning or higher thought. Friedrich Nietzsche, the revolutionary who saw women as psychologically superior in many ways, masters of power dynamics, and far more sophisticated than men realized. One of them was catastrophically wrong and created a worldview that's made millions of men fail with women. The other was so right that his insights are still being validated by modern psychology and neuroscience. But here's the twist. The philosopher most men follow today is the one who was completely wrong about women. Second hook: the modern catastrophe before. I reveal who was right. Let me show you how this philosophical confusion is destroying modern relationships. Have you ever treated a woman like she's simple, straightforward, and driven by basic emotions? Have you ever assumed that being logical with a woman would convince her to like you? Have you ever thought that women are less complex than men? If you answered yes to any of these, you've been following Schopenhauer's philosophy without even knowing it. And it's been sabotaging your success with women your entire life. Or maybe you've experienced this. You try to be direct and logical with a woman, assuming she'll appreciate your honesty. Instead, she loses interest and gravitates toward men who seem to understand something you don't. What those men understand is Nietzsche's insight about female psychology. They know that women operate on levels of sophistication that most men can't even perceive. And when you realize what Nietzsche discovered about women, everything about female behavior will suddenly make perfect sense. Third hook: Schopenhauer's toxic legacy. Let me start with Schopenhauer, because his ideas about women are probably influencing your behavior right now without you realizing it. Schopenhauer wrote, "Women are directly fitted for acting as the nurses and teachers of our early childhood by the fact that they are themselves childish, frivolous, and short-sighted." He believed women were intellectually inferior, emotionally unstable, and incapable of abstract thinking. According to Schopenhauer, women are driven purely by their biological need to reproduce and secure resources. Sound familiar? This is where the "women are emotional, men are logical" stereotype comes from. This is where the idea that women are gold diggers at heart originates. This is where the belief that women can't handle complex ideas was born. Schopenhauer taught that women are simpler than men, that they respond to basic stimuli, that they can be understood through simple cause and effect reasoning, and this is exactly why so many men fail with women today. They approach women like they're simple creatures who will respond logically to logical treatment. They think, if I'm nice to her, she'll be nice back. If I'm honest, she'll appreciate my honesty. If I'm logical, she'll see the logic. But women aren't simple. They're not logical in the way men are logical. And they're certainly not inferior. They're operating on a completely different level of psychological complexity. When you treat a woman like she's simple, she doesn't think you're being kind. She thinks you're being naive. And naivety is one of the least attractive qualities a man can display. Fourth hook: Nietzsche's revolutionary insight. Now let me tell you what Nietzsche discovered about women that was so advanced, most people still don't understand it today. Nietzsche wrote, "Woman's love involves injustice. and blindness against everything that she does not love. Woman is not yet capable of friendship. Women are still cats and birds, or at best cows. Wait, that sounds even worse than Schopenhauer. But here's what most people miss. Nietzsche wasn't insulting women. He was describing their psychological superiority in disguise. When Nietzsche called women cats, he was pointing out their incredible ability to be simultaneously independent and affectionate, aloof and intimate. Cats are masters of power dynamics. They make others come to them. When he mentioned their injustice and blindness, he was describing women's ability to be completely selective about what deserves their attention. Unlike men who try to be fair and logical about everything, women instinctively know what's worth their energy. Nietzsche understood that women operate on what he called will to power, but their power is psychological, not physical. They don't dominate through force. They dominate through attraction, attention, and emotional influence. Women are masters of what Nietzsche called eternal return. They instinctively understand that every interaction is part of a larger pattern, that every moment matters for the overall dynamic. This is why women seem to test men constantly. They're not being difficult, they're being sophisticated. They understand that a man's character is revealed not in his words, but in how he responds to challenges. And this is why women are attracted to confidence and repelled by neediness. They intuitively understand power dynamics in ways that most men never will. Fifth hook, the testing phenomenon. Let me explain the female testing phenomenon through Nietzsche's lens, because this is where most men completely fail. When a woman cancels a date last minute, Schopenhauer's followers think she's being rude and inconsiderate. But Nietzsche understood. She's testing your reaction to see if you're emotionally dependent on her approval. When a woman says she's not ready for a relationship but starts dating someone else, Schopenhauer's followers think, she lied to me. But Nietzsche knew. She was telling the truth. She wasn't ready for a relationship with you specifically. When a woman acts interested one day and distant the next, Schopenhauer's followers think, women are crazy and unpredictable. But Nietzsche realized, she's calibrating the dynamic to see how you handle uncertainty. These aren't flaws in female psychology, they're features. Women are constantly gathering information about your character, your confidence, your emotional stability. The men who succeed with women are the ones who understand that these tests are opportunities to demonstrate high value, not problems to be solved or avoided. When you respond to a woman's test with confidence and outcome independence, you pass. When you respond with neediness or logic, you fail. This is why nice guys finish last. Not because women hate kindness, but because nice guys approach women with Schopenhauer's mindset. They think women should respond logically to logical treatment, but women are operating on a completely different level of psychological sophistication. Sixth, hook, the power dynamic mastery. Here's what Nietzsche understood that most men still don't. Women are natural masters of power dynamics because they have to be. Throughout history, women couldn't rely on physical strength to get what they needed. So they developed psychological strength. They became experts at reading people, influencing emotions and creating attraction. Women understand intuitively that power isn't about forcing someone to do something. It's about making them want to do something. This is why women are so effective at getting men to compete for their attention. They don't demand respect, they inspire it. They don't argue for their value, they demonstrate it. They don't chase, they attract. This is why women are attracted to men who have their own sense of power and purpose. They recognize when a man understands the game versus when he's completely clueless about it. When you approach a woman from a position of neediness, you're essentially saying, I don't understand power dynamics. And to a woman, this is like speaking a foreign language badly. But when you approach from a position of confidence and outcome independence, you're communicating in her native language. You're showing that you understand the sophisticated psychological game that she's been playing her entire life. If this is starting to make sense, hit that like button right now. Comment Nietzsche if you're beginning to see how sophisticated women really are. And share this with a friend who needs to understand female psychology at this level. Seventh hook, the selection strategy. Now let me reveal the most important thing Nietzsche understood about women that Schopenhauer completely missed. Female selection strategy. Schopenhauer thought women choose men based on simple criteria: looks, money, status. Basic, predictable, logical factors. But Nietzsche realized that women's selection process is far more complex and intelligent than most men can comprehend. Women don't just want a man who has value. They want a man who understands his own value and doesn't need constant validation of it. They don't just want confidence. They want calibrated confidence that adapts to different situations without losing its core strength. They don't just want success. They want a man whose success comes from internal drive rather than external validation. This is why women often reject men who look perfect on paper, because they can sense that these men don't actually understand their own worth. They're just checking boxes they think women want. Women have evolved to detect authenticity versus performance. They can sense when a man is being confident because he genuinely is confident, versus when he's acting confident because he thinks that's what works. This is also why women are attracted to men who have other options but choose to be with them. It's not about jealousy. It's about validation. If other high-value people want you, it confirms your actual value. Women understand that true value is rare and that most people, especially men, overestimate their own worth while underestimating women's ability to detect genuine quality. Eighth hook, the emotional intelligence factor. Here's another crucial difference between Schopenhauer and Nietzsche's understanding of women: emotional intelligence. Schopenhauer saw women's emotional nature as a weakness, a sign of inferiority and instability. Nietzsche saw it as a superpower that most men completely underestimate. Women's emotional intelligence allows them to read situations, people, and dynamics that are completely invisible to most men. They can sense when someone is lying, when someone is insecure, when someone is trying too hard. They can detect incongruence between what a person says and what they actually feel. They can predict how someone will behave in different situations, based on subtle cues. This is why you can't fake confidence with women the way you might be able to with men. Women's emotional radar is too sophisticated. They'll sense the incongruence immediately. This is also why women seem to have intuition about people that turns out to be accurate. They're not psychic. They're just better at reading micro-expressions, voice tonality, and behavioral patterns. When you understand this, you realize that trying to manipulate or trick women is not just unethical, it's stupid. They're going to see through it, and then they're going to lose respect for you for trying. The only sustainable approach is to actually become the kind of man who naturally displays the qualities that women find attractive. Ninth hook, the authenticity. Paradox. This brings us to what I call the authenticity paradox, which Nietzsche understood but Schopenhauer completely missed. Women want authenticity, but they also want that authenticity to be attractive. They don't want you to fake being someone you're not, but they also don't want you to be comfortable being someone who's unattractive. This confuses men who follow Schopenhauer's logic. They think, either I should be myself or I should change to attract women. But that's a false dichotomy. Nietzsche understood that the goal isn't to be yourself or to change yourself, it's to become the best version of yourself. Women are attracted to men who are authentic to their highest potential, not their current limitations. They want to see that you're genuinely confident, not that you're genuinely insecure. This is why personal development is so attractive to women. It shows that you're committed to growth, that you have standards for yourself, that you're not satisfied with mediocrity. Women understand intuitively that a man who accepts his own limitations will also accept her limitations. And they don't want a partner who enables their worst tendencies. They want someone who inspires their best ones. This is why women are often attracted to men who challenge them, who have standards, who don't accept bad behavior just because it comes from a beautiful woman. 10th hook, the modern validation. Now here's what's incredible. Modern psychology and neuroscience have proven that Nietzsche was right about women and Schopenhauer was wrong. Brain imaging studies show that women's brains are more interconnected than men's, allowing for more complex emotional and social processing. Research on female mate selection confirms that women use sophisticated multi-criteria evaluation processes that consider factors most men never even think about. Studies on emotional intelligence consistently show that women, on average, outperform men in reading emotions, understanding social dynamics, and predicting behavior. Research on manipulation detection shows that women are significantly better than men at identifying when someone is being dishonest or trying to deceive them. Even evolutionary psychology confirms Nietzsche's insights. Women had to develop sophisticated psychological skills because their survival and their children's survival depended on choosing the right partners and building the right alliances. This is why women seem to have better social networks, why they're better at maintaining relationships, why they're more skilled at navigating complex social situations. The men who are most successful with women are the ones who recognize and respect this intelligence. Rather than trying to outsmart it or work around it, they understand that women's sophisticated psychology isn't an obstacle to overcome, it's a reality to work with. 11th hook, the practical application. Oh, how do you apply Nietzsche's understanding of women in the real world? How do you avoid Schopenhauer's mistakes while leveraging Nietzsche's insights? First, stop trying to logic your way into a woman's heart. Women make decisions emotionally and then justify them logically, not the other way around. Instead of explaining why she should like you, focus on creating experiences that make her feel good around you. Instead of arguing your value, demonstrate it through your actions and energy. Second, understand that women's tests aren't obstacles, they're opportunities. When a woman challenges you, she's giving you a chance to show your character. Pass the test by staying calm, confident, and unfazed. Third, develop genuine confidence and outcome independence. Women can sense when you need their validation versus when you enjoy their company, but don't depend on it for your self-worth. Fourth, respect women's intelligence and emotional sophistication. Don't talk down to them, don't assume they're simple, and don't try to manipulate them with obvious tactics. Fifth, focus on becoming genuinely attractive rather than learning pickup techniques. Women's sophisticated psychology will detect and reject fake confidence, but it will be drawn to genuine self-improvement and authentic strength. Remember, you're not trying to trick a simple creature into liking you. You're trying to earn the respect and attraction of a psychologically sophisticated human being. 12th hook, the relationship. Implications. Understanding Nietzsche's insights about women doesn't just help you attract them. It transforms how you relate to them in long-term relationships. When you recognize that your partner is psychologically sophisticated, you stop trying to control her and start trying to understand her. You stop assuming her behavior is random and start looking for the patterns. You realize that when she's emotional, she's not being irrational. She's processing information in a way that's different from, but not inferior to your way. You understand that when she tests you, she's not being difficult. She's checking to make sure you're still the man she fell in love with. You recognize that her need for emotional connection isn't weakness. It's how she bonds and maintains relationships. And her ability to read your emotions isn't invasion. It's how she knows if the relationship is healthy. This understanding transforms conflicts from battles into opportunities for deeper connection. Instead of trying to win arguments, you focus on understanding each other's perspectives. You realize that a woman's complexity isn't something to be frustrated by. It's something to be appreciated. The same psychological sophistication that made her challenging to attract is what makes her interesting to be with long-term. And you understand that maintaining attraction in a relationship requires the same understanding of female psychology. That created attraction in the first place. 13th hook, the cultural revolution. Here's what's revolutionary about accepting Nietzsche's view of women. It requires men to level up their own psychological sophistication to match women's. For too long, men have been able to succeed in the world through physical strength, logical thinking, and straightforward communication. But with women, these tools aren't enough. To succeed with women, men need to develop emotional intelligence, social awareness, and psychological insight. They need to become more sophisticated, not expect women to become simpler. This is why the most successful men with women are often the most psychologically developed men in general. They've learned to navigate complexity, read emotions, and understand human nature. The men who struggle with women are often the ones who want to stay in their comfort zone of logical, straightforward interaction. They want women to be simple, so they don't have to become complex. But women aren't going to dumb themselves down to accommodate men's psychological limitations. If anything, they're becoming more sophisticated, as society gives them more opportunities to develop their abilities. This means that men who don't develop their emotional and social intelligence are going to be left behind. Not just with women, but in leadership, in business, in all areas of life where human psychology matters. The future belongs to men who can match women's psychological sophistication while maintaining their masculine strengths. 14th hook, the integration challenge. But here's the challenge: integrating. Nietzsche's insights requires you to completely change how you think about yourself and your relationships. You have to give up the comfortable illusion that you can coast on basic qualities and expect women to appreciate you for them. You have to accept that attraction is earned through demonstrated value, not owed because of your good intentions. You have to develop genuine confidence, not fake it. You have to become outcome independent, not just act like you are. You have to build real value, not just talk about it. This is hard work. It's easier to believe Schopenhauer's view that women are simple and that their standards are unreasonable. But easy beliefs lead to poor results. The men who accept Nietzsche's view and do the work to match women's psychological sophistication are the ones who build amazing relationships with incredible women. The men who stick with Schopenhauer's view and expect women to be simple are the ones who end up frustrated, confused, and alone. Which type of man do you want to be? If you're ready to level up your understanding of women and relationships, smash that like button. Comment "level up" if you're committed to becoming psychologically sophisticated enough to attract and keep high-quality women. Subscribe and hit the notification bell because I'm going to show you exactly how to develop every quality that makes men irresistibly attractive to psychologically sophisticated women. Final hook, the choice. So here's your choice. You can keep following Schopenhauer's outdated and toxic view of women, expecting them to be simple and getting frustrated when they're not. Or you can embrace Nietzsche's revolutionary insight that women are psychologically sophisticated and commit to becoming sophisticated enough to match them. You can keep trying to logic your way into women's hearts and wonder why it never works. Or you can learn to create genuine attraction through demonstrated value and authentic confidence. You can keep getting frustrated by women's tests and challenges, or you can learn to see them as opportunities to show your character and strength. You can keep thinking that women's standards are too high and unreasonable, or you can raise your own standards and become the kind of man that high-quality women naturally want to be with. The choice is yours. But remember, Schopenhauer died alone and bitter, convinced that women were inferior. Nietzsche, despite his personal struggles, understood human psychology at a level that we're still catching up to today. Which philosopher's path will you choose? The one who underestimated women and paid the price for it, or the one who recognized their psychological superiority and learned to work with it instead of against it? The women in your life are waiting for you to make this choice. They're waiting for you to become sophisticated enough to match their psychological complexity. The question is, are you ready to level up? Remember, the female mind isn't a puzzle to be solved. It's a masterpiece to be appreciated. And the men who learn to appreciate it are the ones who get to experience its full beauty. Which side of history will you be on?